is that?
The spiral on the left is the same as Mother Anastaea's.
Oh, that's true.
And I'm not a Jedi.
She's a citizen.
Don't tell me.
Oh, it's Kiadi Mundi.
Is it?
Some sort of shift. Something to tip the scales.
Oh my gosh.
And holding you.
Hey guys, welcome back to DYAD in the Force. I'm Element 7.
And I am Darth Choco, and we have an amazing guest, a great friend, and all around badass podcaster, Sawyerism. How you doing?
Hello. I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time since I've been on the on this show.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've killed a Jedi. Yeah, why don't you tell the good people who you are, where they can find your awesome stuff?
I am Sawyer, otherwise known as Sawyerism, on every social media platform you can think of. And I also host the Yap Sesh podcast with my good friend Brooke, aka B Dazzler. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube, Yap Sesh Podcast. We post every Wednesday at noon Eastern-ish. We're also covering every 2 episodes of The Acolyte. And next week, I hope you will tune in, because on next Wednesday, live at 7 p.m., both members of the DYAD in the Force will be contestants in our Pride Month fundraiser, Star Wars Spelling Bee.
I can't wait to misspell Yoda. We just got finished watching episode 4. Yet again, there is a 90-degree turn. We avoided going back or continuing the flashback stuff, and we are resuming the chase for May, and we find ourselves on Kofar. And this episode ended like no other episode of The Acolyte has ended.
I mean, as soon as I saw that group on the planet, I was like, okay, I remember I remember the trailers. This is the group that gets yeeted. There's going to be some yeeting deleting going on here pretty soon. But I will say, I said it last time, I'll probably end up saying it every time. They've mastered the anime ending. The ending that always is like, oh God, when's the next episode? You know what I mean?
What did you think of it, Sawyer?
I really liked it. I'm always pleasantly surprised. I think that, first of all, I think that the marketing for The Acolyte all throughout has been really fantastic, but I think that they have done an especially good job of only giving us very limited bits and pieces with the trailers and the sneak previews. And I think, especially in this episode, there were a lot of scenes that we saw in early trailers, but were in completely different contexts than what I was expecting them to be. So that was really cool.
Yeah, they gave us even more as well. Like the face-off with with Osha and Darth Teeth. I don't even know if I can call them teeth anymore. They just looked like very kind of rigid metal structures along. Well, I guess it's like a smiley face. Darth Smilo Ren. And that scene in particular, like, I think it has changed my kind of outlook completely of the rest of the show. And right now, I think that he may recruit Osha, or there may be like a Freaky Friday situation, but less kind of paranormal. The sisters may swap places. What do you guys think?
That was a thought of mine, for sure. I really do still want it to be my guy, but I mean, Chimera's looking real sus. Now, if it is Chimera, like, there's no way he mistakes one sister for the other. I mean, I doubt the master would either. But he could see, I mean, now that she's sensing things more, he might find that she just has a more innate power. She just quit training a lot sooner than her sister. And so that might pique this dark person's interest a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also had that thought, but at the same, I don't know. I think there's like 7 different directions that this could go. I do, though. I think, especially, are we talking spoilers? Are we talking everything?
Oh, we're in it. We in it.
Okay. We're in it. Got it. I think that especially all of the like Osha's scenes in this episode, and she's like very consciously aware of her relationship to the Force, or more so like why she left the Order. And I think she's very consciously aware of her emotions and her. Well, she talks about the resentment she feels for her sister, and I think that was definitely alluding to them swapping places or
Yeah, just
no,
kind of
fuck
like
this, I'm
a,
out. I'm not doing this anymore.
a crisis of loyalty, you would say.
It both came out of nowhere, but it was also at the same time the most obvious choice in the world. And it's actually like speaks to something that I hate when movies do. She's like, I'm in this to get revenge because I lost my sister. The Jedi took her away, and I seek power to do retribution. And then she sees her sister, and then as she's talking, she's like, if I don't do this, he'll kill me. This is a crappy job I have.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I doing it? She's right there. Maybe I just not do it. Like it, I don't know. It seems like a natural choice rather than to double down. But I do think it's going to lead to exactly what you guys are alluding to is them switching places because the Master's going to run off and take Osha with him. And now you're going to have May with the Jedi team. And now she has to earn their trust again. We're going to see the differences between the sisters, and we're going to get more in depth with what actually happened.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're getting so much in 4 episodes. You know, I was kind of hesitant with the fact that it was only 8.
May has always been your wound. Maybe Sol brought you here to face her. But maybe he brought you here to face yourself.
Face off.
Lives out here.
I think this entire situation is a KOTOR reference.
Specifically the Shadowlands, like when you go
The Shadowlands, and then you have this like grumpy Wookiee living in a tree by himself,
yeah.
who's a Jedi.
We also have Zalzabar, right? Or Zanzibar? Zalzabar?
Zalpar, yeah.
You know, what we've seen so far, we've gotten so much material and so much dynamics that I'm really surprised that they've been able to achieve that. To kind of circle back to Chimere, he's always been the person that is outlandishly hiding. Like the way he doesn't sense May's sister in the store felt like he didn't know she was alive either. But also, once he knew. But in this episode particularly, he lets out so much information about her master while also kind of being standoffish about knowing the master. So the master collects people and he's kind of disseminating all of this information about the master. Do you know his face? And then he says, he doesn't say no. He says, of course I don't know his face. Like he's trying to be very kind of forward with his ignorance. But then moving forward, not forward, but moving back also further to the council, not the council, but the Jedi Temple scene where we see like the lower council, I guess, because they're calling it the High Council. I think we finally got kind of our just desserts with being hesitant with her, with how she's been acting. Like some people made some videos about how it's out of character for Venestra to be so bureaucratic, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's correct for her to be hesitant with sharing with the Senate?
Yeah, I think that we talked quite a bit about this on our re-yap, as it were. And I think that I can understand the immediate concern. I don't know if that's the right word. I can understand. Vernestra is a very beloved character, and she has quite a large fan base within the High Republic fan base. And so I think that, and I also think that the High Republic, for a lot of people, including myself, introduced a fresh take on the Jedi, where a lot of us felt pretty jaded and pretty like anti-Jedi before we read the High Republic material. So I think to see her initially be like, no, we need to go to the council and we're going to do this by the book, that was a little bit jarring for a lot of people. So I understood why they were upset. I would say she's still a little bit more stoic, a little bit more rule following than she was as a 16-year-old Jedi Knight. It was nice to see her have pause about going to the High Council and recognize that this was, I also feel like she needed more information. And as the situation developed, she was able to come to that conclusion like, okay, This is not a situation that we need to tell the big people. It makes sense to me why, if we contextualize everything she's been through in the High Republic books and comics, and I feel like that's biggest overarching purpose of the High Republic was to kind of explain how the Jedi go from point A to point Z. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like I still feel like she's a little bit more towards the Jedi that we're familiar with in the prequel era, but I also think that makes sense.
Do you think
also her master was a supreme rule follower himself?
Do you think that she is acutely aware of the cracks forming in the Jedi Order, and thus kind of being like, let's keep this away from the Senate, because like the Jedi Order is now kind of hugging the Senate more and becoming more political?
Probably, yeah. Take that back. I know that I have controversial opinions about the Republic during the height of the High Republic. I'm not Lena So's #1 fan, but
you can always express those opinions. They're welcome.
No, I just think that perhaps different things could have unfolded differently with the Nihil crisis had the Jedi not been so reliant on aid from the Republic.
No, it's interesting with Vernestra. Her positioning made sense. Where the High Republic ended up, or at least where we're at now. Yeah, there is kind of a close relationship between the Jedi and the Republic now for the first time, which in their context makes sense because a lot of people are just being slaughtered on the edge of space. And it's funny because yes, we at first get the impression that this is rule following here, but I don't know. Is it? Because that's absolutely something Qui-Gon would do as well. I'm not going to tell them this because we need to be able to operate without oversight at this point in time. So yeah, let's not tell them because we don't need that. Otherwise, it will be too many cooks and yada yada yada. Did the Jedi still get overly hated for strict policies when we've never actually seen them be strict or punish anyone for not following the rules? They're like, you need to do this, and they're like, well, what if I don't? They're like, all right.
So yeah, I guess they do kind of have this history of like, this is what you should be doing, and the Jedi's like, I'm not gonna do that, and they're like, fine. But I think it's important to point out that there's a balancing act happening with Vernestra. Like, she's saying, let's not bring the Senate into this. But then when dealing with Soul, she's like, you are clearly attached. You have this conflict of interest, and you shouldn't be doing things. And Soul argues his case and is successful, but she's clearly trying to kind of bridge the gap, but also, dealing with with the position that she's in at this very moment versus where she was. You know what I mean?
Kind of see that where she has a very, it's not my personal favorite scene, but she has a conversation with Elzar Mann that is a little bit like that.
Oh, I mean, she just dumps on Elzar in the best way possible. That's funny because you can see, because I can see it on both sides. I would actually, with the knowledge that she has at this point in time, listen, this girl survived. She's been trained by someone in the Jedi arts, and she has already murdered 2 masters, already has a 3rd target, and then your friend right here is the next target. This person is dangerous. They have been proven to be a danger. They're proven to be a murderer. And you're like, listen, you're going to try and hug them and she's going to kill you. Like, you cannot go. That makes sense to me. Her logic there. That's another thing. I don't see that as like now she's playing it by the book. Like, no, she doesn't want her friend to die. Who could guess that she would just be like, you know what? Never mind.
Even when she saw the innocent bartender, it wasn't the first thing she did. She looked at them, looked at Indara, and was like, is this going to work? And then she did it. And then she left them alone. So what Soul says in this episode, there's still good in her. There is some truth to that to a degree. Mm-hmm. And so we can see her kind of going through the paces. And that was the first and last hint I needed to kind of establish himself as the acolyte, as it were. Because when she was turning on him and caught him, like, again, he's acting outlandishly incognito. He's getting caught by a trap. Oh,
He's
help
Darth
me.
Jar Jar.
Help me. Yeah, exactly. And so when she says, I'm going to turn myself in, and he says, he'll kill you, his face is angry.
Not after I tell them who I know.
Who I know.
He'll kill you.
You'd have to find me first. And I don't know if even he could make it all the way over here without a guide.
Did you notice when his face when he said he'll kill you?
Where could you be?
What are the possibilities? Because I went on live the other day, and one of the theories floated up is, what if, Darth Teeth, Smilo Ren, what if he is the helmet? What if we have a Darth Momin, a Darth Momin situation, a Panchard situation? What if, a Dr. Fate, if you will? What if that is an entity just trying to like bring itself back, and what we've already experienced has been certain things or experiments meant to help them try to bring themselves back? He's like, you know what? He'll kill you, and he actually means it. It's a different person. All he's gonna do is put the helmet on because he doesn't. Oh, what do you think?
It could be possible, yes.
I'm not creative enough for that kind of theory, but like I respect whoever came up with it, and I can see it. I was just gonna say, I feel like it's too simple for Chimera to be.
That's
Darth
where I always was. It was too easy,
Like, and I feel like this episode especially, it's like they're spoon feeding this theory to you. Obviously, he's more involved than we think, but especially because the show is directed towards an adult audience, I can't imagine that the answer is that simple.
They already did him dirty.
With the red lightsaber.
See his Chimera.
Of course I know him. He's me.
So the way I am approaching this is Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one, but also I'm not a full subscriber to the Occam's razor. Sometimes that's not the case, but in this case, I do believe that the simplest things that they've revealed to us has never been what they're hiding to begin with. So when they revealed May to be the Jedi killer, well, okay, that mystery is over. And then when they went back in 16 years and revealed what happened to Brendock, it's like, well, that isn't a mystery anymore either, but we still kind of missing some points of views and perspectives from that. When we find out that Chimera is the Acolyte, if my theory proves correct, that's not going to be the mystery that is being
okay,
revealed
I see what
either.
you're saying.
So if it comes out that he is, we still have 16 years ago, the mystery of the Coven. What did them in? What were they experimenting on, or how did the twins come to be? And I feel like this has been the modus operandi for this show since episode 1. Reveal small bits, but that's not the mystery. Reveal another thing, but that's not the mystery. And then they revealed Dark Teeth in episode 4. So clearly, if they're going to reveal who it actually is, that's not the mystery either.
The mystery is that
the friends we made along the way.
I was gonna say that too.
No, I was just gonna say the mystery is that the Jedi were again trying to save the girls because they were going to be part of a ritual that gives them to the dark side, and that's why the mom was happy that her daughter didn't want to do it.
Oh, that makes sense too. Coral was like, no, he's gonna kill us, right?
He's gonna kill us. Let's all drink the Kool-Aid.
I like that theory too, because Anastasia was way too kind of understanding and like willing to listen.
Evil and all this stuff, and then like had kids, and it was like, you know what? Maybe this world ain't so bad.
So like this whole time they were just sacrificing witches to Smilo Ren, and then like she had kids. Yeah, no, I don't really want to do this. So I think this was one of the shorter episodes, but we still got a lot in it. I think we got closer to Darth Teeth or Smilo Ren. This kind of almost switcheroo that happens in the episode is going to lead us to what comes next.
Look out! Run!
Don't tell. Oh my gosh! Don't. I was about to say, don't tell me that's the end. Do you guys think that the next episode is then another POV of 16 years ago, or do we continue on this trajectory, and kind of let that 16 years ago simmer in our heads?
I think we don't find out what happened until the last episode. I think we find out the truth of what happened 16 years ago on Brendak in the last episode.
That's an interesting one. That would also be a huge twist too.
And it, like, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, the present day story is gonna like mostly conclude by the 7th episode. We think we have all the answers by episode 7, but then it's like, actually, the Jedi have this all wrong. Mystery is not solved. This is what actually happened. This is what happened because of the Jedi's actions. Here's a season 2, and here's an explanation as to how the Sith. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, if I would like some clarity. So on one thing, do you think the revelation of the mystery on the final episode, should that be the case, is a 1-to-1 perspective shift of the incident, or do you think the last episode is going to be partially the incident, but then shift of what actually happened?
Yeah,
like it's gonna
more like
reveal.
option B. Like, I think it's gonna give a perspective shift, but I think it's like gonna expand on that because obviously it's a Sith show. We have Darth Teeth. We don't even know if Darth Teeth is a Sith. We don't have enough information. Like, I think like Marchion Ro reveal in Light of the Jedi, where like at the in the 3rd act, you learn that all these seeds have been planted by him from the beginning, and then you get a little bit extra about what his grand plan is.
And then we go back to Choco's Torben theory then.
I think there's a possibility. Listen, I signed up for the bet. I will plant my flag in this and ride this ship. He's seen some things. He's, I was actually holding out hope that he was so busy searching for the girls in the wreckage that he missed all of any shadiness that went down. Whatever went down, he saw it firsthand. Maybe he didn't hold the lightsaber, but he was still part of the 4 that went in to do the thing. Also, regardless of his involvement in the actual act, he was the one who spied the girls and initiated the contact that brought all this there. So emotionally, has to be tied into it.
And then we get to the biggest reveal, for me at least, of the episode. Whether or not it's the helmet or an actual acolyte. Could this be our first, or not first, but one of many sprinkles of Tenebris and Plagueis, when Vernestra says there's been a shift, something to tip the scales? And that is something that is explicitly verbatim what Plagueis is doing in his book. Do you guys think it is word salad and it's just another case of that's just the best way to describe this shift in the Force, or is that an actual callback to the Plagueis novel?
I think it's the same thing as Ahsoka saying that Thrawn is the heir to the Empire.
Yeah, it could be. Yes,
that's along the lines of what I was going to say as well. That was for us. I don't believe any of the in-universe characters told me.
No. I am not suggesting for 1 minute that Vernestra or anybody is suggesting it's Plagueis or knows that Plagueis and Tenebris are even a thing. I'm also suggesting that anybody that hasn't read the book is going to complain about that quote. They're going to find a way to make some toxic videos about it.
None of the complainers have read the book.
I'm just thinking, yes, it's definitely a nod to that line in the book. But I do think that with Leslie saying this is an expansion of Sith ideology, that it's also a nod to Traya. So I think her saying that Traya was an inspiration, I think more so than a nod, there is some kind of meat there.
Totally possible. The way that I have concluded it in my head is that Leslie has said that she has an idea for a second season. She'd like this to continue. I would like for it to continue. I think this is the freshest and most intriguing Star Wars project in a really long time. A Sith show focusing on how we get to where we are in the Phantom Menace runs into Tenebris and Plagueis.
Mhm.
I think it has to, right? Because we know Plagueis for certain. Plagueis is around. Is his story exactly as it's written in Legends? Probably not, but he's there. He was Palpatine's master. His master was Tenebris. We know this. So I think it's inevitable that we get there at some point if we continue to have more seasons of the show.
At some point, given the and of course it's part of Legends, but given the Legends longevity of the mutant species, he's like a teenager, so I don't think it would be him directly.
You have to consider that if they do go that route, they could very well
They could change
retcon
him.
it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, if that's the case, then anything's a theory.
Yeah, I mean, I have a video out now that is supposing that Plagueis could be a part of the experiments. Obviously, he's around like teenager age right now, but if they retcon it to canon, they could very well make him the progenitor of it all and erase Tenebris. Well, no, Tenebris is canon in name too. They could just kind of retcon that history further backwards, you know?
Well, I think they could. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could they could retcon Tenebris. You know, they could. It wouldn't be the first time that something had been changed to tell whatever story they're trying to tell. So, like, I don't know. I guess I kind of feel like with Plagueis specifically, there's more stuff that needs to stay.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, I just want them to make Tenebris like a transgender woman. Please. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's lean in.
Yeah, go hard in it, you know? I think you know, for the most part, if they do anything with Plagueis' story, it can stay relatively one-to-one. I just think that for it to line up with the events of his life in the book, that they just need to kind of push it back a little bit. That's all. Like, you know, when he does his experiments with Venomous, it should be like 70 BBY. Something to make him kind of be in his 20s by this time. And then you can kind of keep the continuity from Legends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the state of the Acolyte right now. I also just kind of want to point out that you guys are review bombing the wrong shows. There's review bomb campaigns for a show called The Acolytes. There's another show called The Acolyte that has nothing to do with Star Wars, and they all have been review bombed. And I don't know if that's for lack of programming skills or just in general.
It's just AI.
Yeah, so let's go straight into our rating. Is there any kind of criticisms of this episode that you would kind of point out, if any, and what would you rate it?
I do have criticisms. There are quite a few times where I felt like the line delivery lacked energy. You know, it didn't like.
I'm thinking of that redhead in the training session.
Yeah. Like the line wasn't wrong and it wasn't read badly. It just was missing that certain, you know, you're cooking and you're like, we need like lemon zest to like brighten this thing up or something like that. You know what I mean? It works, but like, little seasoning is missing.
I would agree. I definitely felt that this episode, in comparison with the first 3 episodes, lacked a bit of oomph. No, it was missing something. It was not as colorful, I guess.
It was like playing Smash Brothers without L canceling.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, it was still a good episode. I do think it was a little short, but I feel like this episode was more trying to move the story along than it was really focusing on those one-on-one character interactions that made the first couple episodes so special. And world, it wasn't really doing a lot of world building, especially I think that the scene with the Umbra Moth or whatever, like that I didn't quite understand the purpose of that scene, especially when Soul got his lightsaber out and he was like, I've got it. He kills one and then they just move on from that.
Yeah, that scene definitely kind of lacked a little bit of development. I think what came out of it was what they really needed to kind of hammer home, with Osha kind of feeling guilty that something had suffered because she had sensed it, right? And so it's like another thing that suffers because I'm using the Force or something. To agree with both of your guys' points, there was definitely some lackluster line delivery. I think there's a huge issue with, and it's new territory, it's uncharted territory. There's a huge issue with a lot of Jedi on screen having lines. And you know, you have Yord, you have Jeki, and you have Soul and Osha. But then you have all of these other no-name Jedi that aren't really kind of important to the plot, but they still have lines, so they're kind of just saying their lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I can't see her. I can't see him. Basil. I'm a guy. You're good job, guy.
I think Jeki was the standout in this episode.
Oh yeah,
Daphne
Jackie's my
Keene,
bestie.
Yeah.
Jackie's the
think,
bestie.
just like I was saying in the reaction, Manla Stenberg always, Lee Jung Jae, Daphne Keene, they're always standout performances when they do, especially except for the I have this, scene. I would say that this was quote unquote a plot pusher until we got to the very end. But just like Choco says, anime ending, right? We get a plot pusher, and then in the last 3 seconds, you're like, what? And then boom, end. And you're like, well, I could have used that in the first 5 minutes. But so we'll go around and give it a rating. I'll give it a 7.5 for this episode. Pour one out to Kalnaka. I did not think that they would do him dirty that early, but what do you guys?
Pouring out to Luke, captain of Kilnaka crew.
Oh, that's right.
I would go 6.5. I think this is my least favorite episode of the 4.
I'm in the same boat. I think I'm at a 6.5 as well. But I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I love this mystery that we are unfolding, and it's just getting deeper and deeper. And like it's absolutely sucking me into this mystery. To the people, because I had people in my comments saying, "Oh, it's boring and predictable." I'm like, you're a goddamn liar. ain't no way.
Absolutely. I give the final point that goes from 6.5 to 7.5 to that last scene. That last scene kind of pushed it over, but definitely couldn't save the entire episode. But this is kind of how it goes. We watch the show and we approach it with measure, accept, and kind of express our criticisms. But at the end of the day, the larger picture, we're invested in the story. We're invested in this kind of mystery that keeps on unraveling and kind of dropping little tidbits here and there, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. But I want to thank Sawyerism of the Yap Sesh podcast for joining us on this breakdown and reaction. Sawyer, if you have any final thoughts or any other plugs you want to make, go ahead and make them.
Hi. Again, I'm Sawyerism everywhere. The only final plug I want to make is that we're still raising money all month for Point of Pride. It's a wonderful, wonderful charity that we've picked. And please, please, please tune in next Wednesday to the Star Wars Spelling Bee. I am very excited. This is going to be hopefully a one-of-a-kind, very silly and fun event, and I'm so honored that so many friends and wonderful creators have agreed to participate. And if you want to see them horribly fail at spelling, you should come on down.
Absolutely. We'll be posting about it on our socials as the event gets closer to the date. But
and as a massive lover of audiobooks, I'm screwed.
That's also true. But in any case, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more videos like it, and hit the bell icon to turn on notifications. But as always, that's it. On to the next one.
For life.
You're all the Acolyte.
And May is Bay all day. all damn day.